What if I told you that this place is one of the most dangerous oceans in the world? Today, most ships traveling between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans use the Panama Canal as it is faster and safer. But before the official opening of the Panama Canal in August 1914, ships had to pass through the Drake Passage. This passage is considered one of the world's most dangerous sea routes, where waves in stormy conditions reach heights ranging from 9 to 15 meters, and extreme waves exceeding 20 meters have been recorded, putting ships at risk. In this video, we will learn about the Drake Passage, which is considered one of the most terrifying places in the seas. This is what we'll explore in today's video. All right, before we dive into the rest of this, if you're new here, consider subscribing. And if you like what you're seeing, hit that like button. It seriously helps the channel a ton. The Drake Passage extends for over 900 kilometers between South America and Antarctica, with a width of approximately 600 to 800 kilometers at its narrowest point. Its average depth reaches over 4,000 meters, with a maximum recorded depth of about 6,000 meters. Historical estimates indicate that more than 800 ships have sunk here, and over 20,000 people have lost their lives since its discovery up to the modern era, and accidents continue to happen even today. An average ship takes about 48 hours, 2 days to cross the Drake Passage from end to end. But sailors who have made this journey describe it as an unforgettable experience. Some have described it as unlike anything else in the world. One passenger says, "I felt like a wet sock spinning in a washing machine for 36 hours. I had never suffered from seasickness before, but this trip was a real test of my patience." As for cruise ship passengers, they find that eating was a challenge in itself. You must hold onto your plate and cup all the time, because the strong waves make dishes slide off the table despite the presence of special sticky placement. Due to the violent rocking, many feel nauseous, and vomit bags are available in public areas on the ship. But it doesn't stop there. Everything on the table must be secured. Unsecured items must be stored in drawers and tied down well, or they might fly off with the next wave and hit you in the head. Moving around inside the ship is not easy, as you can only move by holding onto railings or pillars. Even climbing stairs or simply opening and closing doors becomes a challenge that requires effort to avoid injuries. Some even tie themselves to their beds to be able to sleep while crossing the Drake Passage. Ships vary in their reaction to the waves, causing frequent vertical acceleration. Therefore, a person's weight changes suddenly, sometimes dropping almost to zero and then quickly doubling again. Under such conditions, sleep becomes nearly impossible, as the person feels like they are floating above the bed for a moment, then being pressed down forcefully. The only way to cope with this is to tie yourself to the bed. The Drake Passage is the sea distance between Cape Horn at the southernmost tip of South America and the Antarctic Peninsula at the South Shetland Islands. It is a gap between the Antarctic continent and South America. There are two other passages around the southern tip of the continent, the Strait of Magellan and the Beagle Channel, but they are less dangerous than the Drake Passage. The sea passages in the southern South America region are often narrow and winding, making it difficult for ships to maneuver. Additionally, strong winds and unpredictable currents make navigation extremely challenging. For this reason, many sailors, especially those on sailing ships, prefer to use the Drake Passage, as its open waters provide ample space for controlling ships extending for hundreds of miles. The passage was named after the British explorer Sir Francis Drake, who served the British Crown. However, he was not the first to cross this passage. In fact, Drake led his ships through the Strait of Magellan to the Pacific Ocean, but a strong storm pushed him south. One ship was wrecked by the storm, another returned to England, while the third ship managed to reach the Drake Passage. From here, the English first discovered that there were open waters in the south. This happened in September 1578. The stormy waters of the Drake Passage were one of the reasons people avoided reaching Antarctica until the 19th century. It was difficult to get there due to the fierce winds and sudden storms that have no specific season. Storms can occur at any time. This is due to the passage's location where three oceans meet. The passage forms an important junction between major water masses, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Southern Ocean, Antarctica. As a result, storms and severe climatic conditions are formed. Cold water coming from the Antarctic continent via the Antarctic Circumpolar Current meets the ocean's relatively warmer waters, causing the formation of cyclones, The area through which the Drake Passage extends is a constant source of severe storms. Due to the difference in water temperature, additionally, the absence of land in the area contributes to enabling winds to move freely around the planet, a phenomenon known as the Roaring Forties and Furious Fifties in the Drake Passage. Winds blow at speeds ranging from 35 to 50 knots in typical stormy conditions and can exceed 70 knots in severe storms. If the ship is sailing with the wind, that's good. But if the wind is in the opposite direction, things get harder. The winds bring the waves, and some of the largest waves in the passage regularly reach heights of 9 to 15 meters in storms, and maximum waves can reach 20 meters or more. These waves strike the ships one after the other. And since the Antarctic continent is very close, sailors are not only exposed to water, but it is extremely cold. According to experienced sailors, there are only two types of weather in the Drake Passage: Drake's Shake and Drake's Lake. The latter is rare, while Drake's Shake is the most common, where the ship's windows start shaking rapidly like washing machine doors due to the sea foam formed by the high waves. Another risk in the Drake Passage is the ship's constant swinging. Usually before entering the passage, the captain asks all ship crew to take seasickness pills. Even Charles Darwin, who was an experienced traveler and sailed around the world, felt seasick while rounding Cape Horn.
What about people who can't tolerate this effect? There are also rogue waves, which are extremely large waves, typically double the height of the surrounding waves. Scientists are still unsure of the precise way they form, but they believe they occur when small waves merge to become larger. This can be caused by strong winds or changes in ocean currents. The Drake Passage is also a place where some of the world's most powerful ocean currents intersect, as ocean currents carry carbon, including carbon released by plankton. This carbon sinks to the deep ocean and remains there for centuries. But the most important point here is that the Drake Passage represents the narrowest point in the path of the most powerful ocean current on Earth, the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, ACC. The ACC continuously circles the Antarctic continent, forming a trench around the continent. This trench means that an estimated 140 million cubic meters per second, 140 SV, of water flows through the Drake Passage. To convert this to the English measurement system, this flow is equivalent to about 4.94 billion cubic feet of water flowing every second. To illustrate the volume of this current, it can be said that it is more than 100 times the combined flow of all rivers on planet Earth. This current extends for over 21,000 kilometers. The ACC is considered the largest current in the world because there is virtually no resistance from land, allowing the water to flow freely, resulting in immense power that affects even the largest ships. With the winds, waves, and currents, it's easy to understand why the Drake Passage is considered one of the most dangerous maritime places. What amazes me is that people have been crossing this passage since the 16th century, when ships were much weaker than they are today. But what is truly impressive is that in December 2019, a team of elite athletes managed to cross the Drake Passage in a boat powered entirely by human effort. Yes, they rowed across the passage from South America to Antarctica. The team worked in shifts, with rowers taking continuous turns 24 hours a day. They covered a distance estimated at about 1,050 kilometers in approximately 13 days aboard a boat specially designed for this mission. Imagine the icy ocean around them, massive waves, fierce winds, lack of sleep, terrible shaking, and constant nausea. What made these brave people continue? Their decision was to keep rowing no matter the conditions. Incidentally, there is a legend about the ghost ship in the Drake Passage. According to the legend, the sailing ship Jenny set off from the Isle of Wight in 1822, then became frozen in the Drake Passage in 1823. It is said that the ship was seen again in 1840 and was discovered by a whaling vessel. Some sources claim that the crew of the ship Hope discovered the passengers frozen in their places due to the extreme cold of Antarctica, which strangely preserved their bodies. However, there is no evidence to support this story, so it remains just a legend. In reality, Ships still regularly pass through the Drake Passage despite the existence of the Panama Canal. Yes, the Panama Canal is faster, safer, and cheaper in terms of fuel consumption and operating costs for shipping companies. But only 40% of global maritime shipping can pass through the Panama Canal, while large vessels, post-Panamax, cannot transit it. Thus, they are forced to sail around Cape Horn and face the dangerous Drake Passage. In the days of old sailing ships, with primitive navigational equipment and limited weather forecasts, the Drake Passage was one of the most dangerous places. Even today, it still poses a threat to small or sailing ships. However, for large modern vessels, such as expedition cruise ships or tourist vessels, the matter no longer poses a deadly challenge as it did previously. Traveling through the Drake Passage is still a difficult and strenuous experience, but modern ships are equipped with advanced technology that protects them from strong waves and winds. Furthermore, sailors today use modern tools for navigation and controlling the ship's movement, making the current situation much better than it was in the past, when passengers and crew members suffered from severe waves on old sailing ships. Although the danger still exists, it has become rare. The last major sinking incident in the Drake Passage occurred in 1819 when the Spanish ship San Telmo sank while transporting supplies to Valparaiso, Chile, killing all 644 people on board. The ship was wooden with sails, making it fragile compared to modern vessels. In December 2019, the Chilean Air Force found the wreckage of a C-130 Hercules cargo plane that crashed in the Drake Passage while attempting to transport supplies to the Chilean base in Antarctic territory. The plane was carrying 38 people, including 21 passengers and 17 crew members, and everyone died in the accident. The causes of the crash remain unknown. The Drake Passage has a significant impact on planet Earth. The currents in this passage help deposit carbon in the deep, contributing to the fight against climate change. The Drake Passage also helps keep Antarctica cold due to its low temperatures and icy winds, preventing warm air from reaching the area, which helps preserve the ice there. If the Drake Passage did not exist, Antarctica would become warmer, causing huge amounts of ice to melt and ocean levels to rise catastrophically. Fortunately, the Drake Passage contributes to maintaining the planet's stability. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.